friends. I'm Karen, and this is the Family Food for Moms podcast. We're talking about inspiration for family cooking and dining. It's a wonderful new year with a blank slate, lots to learn, lots of new cooking and food to try. And I'm excited. Thanks for joining me on the Family Food for Moms podcast. Today we're going to be talking about simple health tips for your kitchen. These are some maybe unusual health ideas that I find important and I like to do in our family, and I thought that you might enjoy. So one of the things is about expectations. Often we think, I ate healthy, I had supplements, I did something or other, and then why is it not helping? But we need to be really patient, and I really find that what we do today affects us next week or next month or even next year. There's like a delayed response. So if we eat some really good healthy meals with good nutrition, or we take some good supplements like kudu liver or something, then I find it affects me in that the following week I feel so good. Not necessarily that day or even the next day, because it's still dealing with the meals I've had recently. So, be patient and trust the process, and don't expect changes immediately, and know that the good habits that you're developing, or the good things you're doing, the healthy meals, the good protein, it will have an effect. And it will give you more energy, more good muscle, more of all the good stuff, but maybe only next week or next month. Number 2, a simple one, choose meat on the bone for your crock pot or your instant pot meals. It's so much better than boneless. Like if you get a boneless leg of lamb, you even get chicken roasts that have been deboned. It's so much better for you if you get it on the bone. It cooks in a way that makes the meat more tender. You get more minerals, more vitamins, and collagen, all the good stuff when you cook your meat on the bone. So a leg of lamb, a roast chicken, a piece of beef, always try to get on the bone if possible. And then cook it in your crock pot or your instant pot. Sometimes they're rather large with the bone, especially something like a leg of lamb. So you do need to check that it will actually fit in your crock pot before you buy it. Perhaps you can ask the butcher to cut off a bit of the bone if necessary. Number 3, add some bone broth to the crock pot. Sometimes I'm organized enough to make our own bone broth, but usually I buy a glass jar of lamb bone broth. I like the ones that are nice and gelatinous. And then when I cook either a lamb stew or a leg of lamb in the crock pot, then I'll add some lamb broth. Doing a roast chicken, add some chicken broth to the pot, so that when you make the gravy from the leftover juices in your crock pot or your instant pot, then you get the good nutrition from the bone broth. So bone broth is great for you to have on its own, but I've never been crazy about the taste. But it's wonderful if you have a healthy gravy and you want to add a lot of that, because then you're getting a lot of bone broth with your meat. It keeps your meat moist, and it's got all that good stuff, the antioxidants, the nutrients. So adding the broth to your crock pot and then making gravy once it's cooked by simply adding a little bit of, we use potato starch. You can use cornstarch, look for non-GMO. You can even use flour, spelt flour, just a little tiny bit so that it's not too much, and then some salt. And then you just boil it down a little bit, and that makes a lovely healthy gravy. Number 4, replace your plastic storage containers with glass containers. You get lovely glass containers with plastic lids, and these are great for meal prep into the fridge or the freezer. We often put our leftover food from a meal in one of these as a future meal for my husband at work or my son. Or if I am not eating what the kids are eating, like say they're eating a pie with lots of puff pastry, then I prefer to have a leftover container of beef stroganoff or something from the freezer. And then just anything you want to store in the kitchen works well in a glass container, and it's so much better for you than the plastic containers. And especially, we don't use a microwave because of the bad effects of what it does to the food. But if you do use a microwave, never heat food in a plastic container, but rather heat it in a glass container, because the food will be a lot less contaminated. Then this one, number 5, is an obvious one that you probably know, but I'll mention it anyway. Replace oils with coconut oil, olive oil, beef tallow, lamb tallow. These are so much better for you than the canola oil, the seed oils, any of those so-called seed or vegetable oils are really incredibly processed and very, very bad for you. So coconut oil is my favorite. Butter can be used in some circumstances. Olive oil, if it's not going to be heated too much, so like use olive oil on vegetables in the oven. I was recently reading a study about how they found that olive oil really releases a lot of polyphenols when food is cooked in it. So I was always unsure about using olive oil in the oven, but apparently it doesn't get that hot. So when I cook potatoes or vegetables in the oven, I put olive oil and salt on them, and it tastes amazing. And those polyphenols are so good for so many things, including getting rid of COVID. Then tallow is great as well, although it does burn. And that smoke is not a healthy smoke. So it's important to heat your pan or your pot till it's hot and then add the tallow so that it's not in there for too long. But it's great for doing ground beef or chicken in a pan. And then avocado oil is sometimes good. I know it's a good one for cooking too, and for making mayonnaise because it's got a neutral flavor. But so often avocado oil is fake or has been diluted. So really check your sources, your SOURCES sources. But I think avocado can be a great one to use as well. Number 6, have an unhealthy, in inverted commas, dessert once a week. This may sound counterintuitive if we're talking about health tips, but if you're looking forward to that unhealthy dessert, or should I rather say a dessert that you really enjoy once a week, then you're able to say, okay, we're not going to have dessert during the week, but just on the weekend. So if there's something you really enjoy, like chocolate mousse or creme brulee or creme caramel, tiramisu, something like that, you can choose one night a week when you have your special dessert. You just have a small amount and you really enjoy it. But the rest of the week, then you don't have dessert, and you can be working on your health in general with that one exception. Wow, it's hailing hard outside. I don't know if you can hear it. So if you like to add to your meal during the week, sometimes I find for dinners, it's very satisfying to have different courses, different kinds of food. You've heard me talk about that before. So you could end your meal with some peaches and some raw cream poured over them. That's delicious. Or a tiny square of dark chocolate, or even some cheese. Those are all really great endings to meals. And then they don't add to the unhealthiness too much. Number 7 is to do with vitamins or supplements. Obviously, we want to choose very good quality supplements, not just generic ones from the supermarket, which don't really do anything. Our main supplement as a family is desiccated liver capsules. We're not so good at eating liver, and liver is very high in many nutrients. So we have kudu liver. And then there may be other things that you have. There certainly are a few other things we have. And so we want to be careful how we have our supplements. Firstly, desiccated liver is more of a food than a supplement. So it's slightly different. You can just eat it with your food as you go. But supplements, especially herbal supplements, things like CoQ10 or resveratrol or some kind of anti-inflammatory supplement, these things are all good in a certain context. Some of them say eat on an empty stomach. Should I say drink on an empty stomach? Some of them you take with food or specifically with fat. So it's very important not to eat them all in one handful. I've seen some people just grab their vitamins for the day and gulp them down. Now, when you're having vitamins, you need to think about absorption. Absorption is the key. Otherwise, there's really no point, and you're just wasting your money. So each one you need to look at carefully and see when it recommends that you have it. And another thing that you can add into this category would be tea. So if you're having green tea, if you have it very close to your meal, it can limit the absorption of iron. So you want to have something like green tea right in the middle between breakfast and lunch. So back to the supplements. If you're having, say, 4 supplements in your day, then the best thing is, if most of them need to be taken with food, then you start your meal and you have one. You put them all there next to your plate so you don't forget them. Then a little bit later in your meal, you have another one, and then again the third one and the fourth one, so that they spread out through your meal. They're being taken in with food so that your body is more likely to absorb them, and they can break down well in your system. And you're having them with the fat and with the food that it needs to be able to absorb them. So just being very mindful of how we have our vitamins in the same way as we're mindful of what we eat, I think will help us to get the maximum benefit and absorb the most from those vitamins. Number 8, have some snacks that you enjoy ready for you and your family that are easy to grab when things are busy. I have an episode 4 of the podcast, where we talk about some good snacks for moms specifically, because we're the ones usually so busy taking care of everyone else that we forget to have some good nourishing snacks available for us. And that has things like a healthy cheesecake, gummies, yogurt, etc. So try to have something that you enjoy that's good to grab. Beef sticks, we call it Druivors. And then things like you can do carrot sticks and celery sticks in water in the fridge in a jar, because those are nice and easy to grab and it keeps them moist. Oh, and I must mention frozen grapes. These are an amazing snack because they taste so good. They taste like candy, but they last. So grapes can get old, they can attract fruit flies. So if you wash your grapes and then freeze them, they're a lovely thing to grab from the freezer for a quick snack. Number 9, don't be influenced by fad diets. Just keep it simple. Fresh and whole foods are good. You need your protein, you need your fiber, you need your fat, and you need your carbs. So keep it balanced with fresh whole food. And it's also a good idea to add something fermented to at least one meal a day. Kimchi or sauerkraut or something that's been pickled. Pickles are great, but they should be lacto-fermented and not just have vinegar added to them. All of those things are very beneficial to our health. And then lastly, number 10 is to eat mindfully or in a way that you're very aware of having your meal. So as I've spoken about before, sitting down together at the dinner table and eating slowly with a few courses, a course of vegetables, a course of maybe your meat and a side, or a soup to start with, and then a cheese course. It really helps you to digest. It really helps you to be present with your meal. And besides the good fellowship that you have with your family, your body is really given the best chance to absorb the nutrients. Sometimes we just think of what we eat, but we don't always think of what we absorb. So in the same way as with the vitamins, we want to make sure that we absorb the food we eat. So sitting down, being mindful about the fact that this is now mealtime. We're not going to be distracted and do 10 other things at the same time. We're not going to work on our computers. We're going to sit and eat. And then chewing our food carefully, eating in a way that we really admire the food, smell it, enjoy it, and eat slowly. That will really help so much with our body's ability to absorb and use the nutrition from the food. So enjoy cooking and eating this year. Choose some things that you want to improve on and don't try to do a whole lot of changes at once, but maybe one change every week or month, and just enjoy the huge variety of wonderful food there is out there. Thanks for listening. I'll see you next time.